So a while ago, I put up a video in which I was sharing things that I look for when I'm shopping for products, like, things I look for on the ingredients list, whether that be particular ingredients or ingredient formulation patterns, just to kind of give people a little bit of a background to my whole product selection process. And I got a comment in which a person was like, whoa, like you don't look at the health of your products at all. There are these chemicals that, can get into our bloodstream and cause all these issues and so on and so forth. And, I looked at the comment and I said, this person is likely someone who perhaps is a user of those clean beauty apps like Yuka, Environmental Working Group, aka EWG, Think Dirty, so on and so forth. I think there's probably plenty of those other apps like that that I don't even know the name of. But here's the thing about those apps. But first, before I get to the thing, hello everyone, Kayla here, and this is What the Kink, a natural hair channel. And yes, let's get to the thing about these clean beauty apps, okay? The first bone I have to pick with them is that I feel like the rating systems on them are way too simplistic. They just don't give the full picture of the product or what it does. So they'll rate it, like most of them have some sort of like rating scale, like 0 to 5 or 0 like to 10 or something like that. And like the rating is supposed to tell you like if the product overall is good or bad. So it'll be like a poor rating and it'll have it all color coded and stuff. So if you were to see the product and you see, oh my God, I got a bad rating on here. And some people are not going to look further than that. They're like, you know what? It got a bad rating. That product is bad. And that's it. Like, come on. Whereas they do have the information available where you can click in and fully see the breakdown as to why that product has that rating. Typically, it's because they've rated some particular ingredient. It's not because the entire product is a bad product. And I'm going to get onto how they rate particular ingredients as bad as well, because that is also an issue that I see on these particular types of apps. So I don't know if you guys have heard this saying where it's like the dose makes the poison, right? So it's basically what this means is that some things, the danger comes from the amount of how much of whatever it is. So something on these sites can be ranked as bad, as dangerous, like, oh, it causes cancer. And the amount of it in the product is like a drop and not enough to actually pose a threat or to be an issue. And a lot of people don't realize that. They say, oh, this product has this and it's bad. Like, so for a good example of that is formaldehyde, right? I have a video talking about OGX and the formaldehyde releasers in their products and stuff. So if you're interested in that, go check that out. But y'all, we eat things that release formaldehyde on a regular basis. I believe we also breathe a small amount of formaldehyde in day to day. So there is an amount that you are regularly exposed to already. And typically a product is probably going to have less than that amount. Okay, I can't exactly remember everything about the amounts and stuff like that. But yeah, I do believe that the amount that we eat when we take in certain foods, the amount that we breathe is more than what you would get from a hair product. But yet that same product will be on these apps and be marked as like this, it has this ingredient is bad and it's dangerous. When they have a drop in there. And it is an amount that is considered safe for the public. So that's one thing. I see a lot of stuff blown way out of proportion. And I mean, I think people don't care about carcinogens, but then they do care about carcinogens. Like one example is like processed meats are considered carcinogens, meaning that they could possibly cause cancer. And people are still eating them. You know what I mean? That's not going to make you stop eating your hot dog, is it? You know what I mean? I also think that these apps open the window for people to misinterpret scientific studies. So they do list the studies. Like you can click on it. The stuff is there on a lot of these apps. But I am not a scientist, okay? I am someone who, yes, I hold a degree to teach middle grade science. I have a degree in education, and then I have a middle grade science certification that I later went and got and stuff like that. So yeah, I am qualified to teach science to children, okay? But I am not a scientist, okay? So I can't even claim to fully understand these studies, right? And studies are easily misinterpreted or misunderstood because they're mainly written for an audience of other scientists, right? Because science needs to be peer reviewed. Now, I did teach that. I do know that, okay? Scientists share their work, but it is something that it's not really for a public, general, everybody audience. So people can access this and misinterpret it. Ooh, and there are a couple of ingredients that keep getting demonized on these apps that I just have. Okay, number one, preservatives. Typically, something will get a bad rating on these sites and these apps because of the preservatives that are listed. And a lot of times, y'all, preservatives is like, they are like the smallest ingredient in the product. They include such a small amount because there are regulations to how much this stuff needs to be in the product. But y'all, preservatives make products safe. They make them safe for people, okay? They make them to where you can use it. They make them to where you can go to the store and buy it, however long it's been on the shelf, and it's not dangerous. Like, preservatives are very, very important. In fact, I was freaking out because I bought some baby food, right? And this particular brand, the only ingredient on the jar was like, I think it was like pear. That was the only ingredient. And me, you know, I do have that background as a science educator, and, you know, I do, you know, look at the ingredients on the hair products and stuff. So I'm looking at the ingredients and I'm like, wait a minute. How long has this been on the shelf? How do they have it on here without it going bad? Is it safe? Like, I'm just doing all these things like, oh, like, how is this safe? Like, who knows how long it was on the shelf at Walmart or wherever it was I was buying it. I'm like, well, what's the date on this? I'm just freaking out. And then I eventually go to their website and I looked up the information on the process that they use to can the pear so that you can just literally just put pear on the ingredients and not have like citric acid and things like that to preserve it. And apparently they do a process that's similar to like the canning process. You know, people can things at home. You have to like remove the air and stuff like that. So it was a process like that. And that's what made it safe for consumption. Because, you know, I was freaking out. Like, where are the preservatives? But going back to hair products, preservatives make hair products safe. And typically what I've noticed that hair product companies will do is they will have a preservative that's completely fine and completely safe. The public freaks out about it. And so then they go and find another preservative to put in there so that the product can continue to be safe, but they can appeal to the public desire, the public opinion, the public perception. But honestly, guys, preservatives are good. They make the product safe. They make it safe. We don't want you to get hurt because you put a deep conditioner in that was past its due date. And then another ingredient that gets demonized a lot, is this whole concept of things that are allergens. Things that people are allergic to. I think a lot about the original Diva Curl products before they reformulated them. Those products had so much like natural stuff in them, and a lot of those things tend to be allergens, things that will irritate people. So like if you're allergic to, like for instance, I'm allergic to white tea. If that is particularly in a skin product, it will tear my skin up. I'm allergic to white tea. But it doesn't mean that it's dangerous or bad for you. It's just an allergen for me. And I try to avoid tea in my products for that reason. But of course, if something is more likely to have these things, then it could be marked as dangerous or bad or whatever on these particular sites. And I did notice that when Diva Curl reformulated their stuff, you know what they did? They toned down a lot of those little extracts and natural this and that, whatever, because what they were doing is making sure that they could decrease the amount of people that's going to be allergic to their stuff, okay? Because allergic reactions can cause things like skin reactions, can cause hair come out, all these things, the type of things that people were reporting as having issues with Diva Curl. Those are the type of things that can happen when you're being routinely exposed to something that's an allergen. So I noticed that they did that with the formulations. And I'm going to pause here for a moment. If you are enjoying my content and you're getting something out of this, and especially if this is not your first video of mine, go ahead and subscribe because you keep coming back anyway. And then my last few little bones to pick with these apps. Number one, I think that they can make people anxious. I feel like they can make people just freak out and worry about the wrong thing, to where you get this mindset that everything is out to hurt us. You get this mindset that all the products are toxic and bad and hurting us and harming us. When in reality, even the dealers know you got to keep the folks alive so they can keep coming back to spend the money. Even the dealers know, okay? Like, yes, I think some stuff is not ideal, especially like, as I said earlier, I have allergies. My husband has allergies actually to a lot of things. You know, please avoid those things, because obviously the side effects can be really big. You can have a really bad adverse reaction to something that you are allergic to, but that does not mean that the product is toxic and they're trying to hurt us and, like, you know, tinfoil hat on. I just think that these apps create this mindset to the point where someone would look at my video, where I'm not talking about anything like that at all, and they would immediately jump to saying, you don't care about your health. You don't care about your health. Oh my goodness. Because I feel like these apps create that. And then another thing that I want to get on is this whole appeal to nature thing. People think because something is natural that it's better. And I would like to push back on that, okay? Just because it has this thing that you can't pronounce doesn't mean that that thing is dangerous. Natural is not always better. Poison ivy is natural, okay? Cocaine is natural. The list of a bunch of natural things that are harmful is long, okay? Just because something is natural does not mean it is better and it is safer. Now, where I do think that these apps do have a place is I do think that it is good to be able to get a full detailed list of the ingredients of your products, to be able to click on the ingredients and get more information about those particular ingredients. I would suggest perhaps maybe ignoring the ratings of the particular ingredients, or learning more about those ingredients. Like, at what percentage is that harmful? And at what percentage is it present in the products? How much exposure do we get to that ingredient through other means in our natural day-to-day life? Like, are we eating this ingredient? Are we breathing this ingredient? You know, like in the case of formaldehyde. I think it's healthy to use these apps, but with more of a holistic mindset and a more of a holistic approach. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, guys, that is my soapbox. I'm going to get off of it now, okay? But if you want me to get back on another soapbox, you can click one of these videos right here, and immediately I'll be back up and talking about something else. Also, subscribe. I post videos every week, and I'll talk to you in the next one.